Have you ever noticed that the moment you start pulling back, she suddenly becomes more interested? It's almost like a switch flips in her mind, and she starts chasing you instead. But this isn't just a coincidence. It's actually a psychological trigger that most guys overlook. If you understand how to use it the right way, you can flip the script and make her chase you without lifting a finger. In this video, we're diving deep into the hard lesson that makes her realize what she's missing and how to make her come running back for more. When a woman pulls away, most guys panic. They start texting more, calling more, trying to fix things immediately. Basically, doing everything that only makes her pull away further. But the truth is, when you're too available, you become predictable. And predictability is the enemy of attraction. See, human psychology craves mystery and challenge. When you're always there, always responding instantly, and always saying yes, there's no sense of urgency or intrigue. She knows she can have you whenever she wants, and that comfort makes her lose interest fast. The reason behind this is something called the law of scarcity. It's the same principle that makes limited edition items sell out in minutes. People value what they can't easily have. When you're always available, you're not scarce. She doesn't feel the need to put in any effort or even think about you that much because she knows you'll always be around. But the moment you become a little less available, that's when things start to change. She starts to wonder why you're not texting as much, why you're not as eager to hang out, and that curiosity pulls her back in. Another reason women pull away when you're too available is because of the loss of challenge. Think about it. When you first meet someone, there's that uncertainty, that excitement of not knowing where things stand. That's what keeps both sides interested. But when a guy makes it clear from the start that he's all in, he removes that tension. The chase is over before it even began. Women are hardwired to be attracted to men who represent a challenge, not necessarily someone who plays games, but someone who has standards and doesn't drop everything at the first sign of attention. Being too available also signals a lack of independence. It makes her feel like you're trying to fill a void in your own life with her attention, which is a huge turnoff. Women are naturally attracted to men who have their own lives, goals, and passions, guys who aren't constantly seeking validation or approval. When a guy is too available, it often sends the message that he doesn't have much else going on. And if you're not busy building your own life, she's going to question why she should invest in you. Now, this doesn't mean you should start ignoring her completely or playing mind games. It's about balancing interest with independence. For example, if you're always the one initiating texts, step back a bit and let her reach out first. If you're always agreeing to plans immediately, occasionally say you're busy, even if you're not. It's these small adjustments that make her see you as a man with options and standards, rather than someone who's just desperate for her attention. This is also where the concept of mirroring comes in handy. Mirroring is when you match her level of interest and effort instead of going all in regardless of what she does. If she takes hours to respond to your texts, don't reply in seconds. If she seems distant, match that distance instead of chasing. This technique not only prevents you from appearing needy, but also subtly shows her that you have self-respect, that you're not someone who's just waiting around for her to throw a breadcrumb of attention. Ultimately, the goal is to create a balance between availability and mystery, to make her curious about what you're doing when you're not around, and to make her feel that your attention is something worth earning. When you master this, you'll notice a dramatic shift in how she acts around you. Instead of you doing all the chasing, she'll start to lean in, trying to figure out why you're not as available and what she needs to do to get your attention back. When it comes to attraction, absence isn't just a strategy, it's a necessity. Most guys make the mistake of thinking that if they're constantly present in a woman's life, she'll eventually fall for them. But in reality, being too present does the exact opposite. It makes her take you for granted. The truth is, people only start to appreciate what they have when it's gone, or at least when it feels like it could be gone. That's the power of absence. When you pull back, even just a little, it triggers a psychological response that makes her start to miss you. This isn't about playing games or trying to manipulate her feelings. It's about creating space for attraction to grow. When you're always around, there's no room for her to reflect on her feelings or even to question them. But when you step back, it forces her to think about you. She starts to wonder why you're not texting or why you're not trying to hang out as much. That curiosity can quickly turn into longing because human nature is wired to value what seems uncertain or slipping away. The key here is to master what's known as strategic absence. This doesn't mean ghosting her completely or disappearing without explanation. That usually backfires and makes you look insecure or spiteful. Strategic absence is about giving her just enough space to notice your absence without making it obvious that you're doing it on purpose. It's about being less predictable. For instance, if you used to text her every morning, switch things up, skip a day, or reply a little later than usual. If you always made plans for the weekend, hold back a bit and see if she steps up. It's these subtle shifts that make her start to question things, to replay moments in her mind, and to miss your presence. One powerful effect of absence is that it creates a vacuum. When you're not constantly there to fill the silence, she's left alone with her thoughts. And if you've built even a little bit of attraction before stepping back, those thoughts will often turn to you. She'll start to wonder what you're doing, who you might be with, and why you're not reaching out. This is where memory works in your favor. People tend to romanticize the past, remembering the good moments more vividly than the bad ones. So, when you go quiet, she's likely replaying all the times you made her laugh, the things you said, and how you made her feel. The absence also shifts the power dynamic. In most cases, the person who cares less has more power in a relationship. By pulling back, you subtly send the message that you're not desperate or overly invested, that you have a life outside of her. This forces her to rethink her assumptions about you. Instead of seeing you as just another guy who's chasing, she starts to see you as a challenge, as someone she needs to win over. This shift in power can completely change how she views you and how she behaves around you. But here's the catch. Absence only works if it's temporary and if it's combined with value. If you go quiet but haven't built any attraction, or if she never really saw you as a high-value guy, she's not going to care that you're gone. That's why it's essential to lay the groundwork first. Show her you have standards, show her that your time is valuable, and show her that you're not easily impressed. Then, when you do pull back, it creates a sense of loss that she actually feels. Another mistake guys make is of breaking silence too soon. They pull back for a day or two, don't see immediate results, and then panic and reach out. This ruins the whole effect. Patience is crucial here. You need to give her enough time to start missing you. Sometimes that's a few days, sometimes a week or two. But every time you break the silence too early, it reinforces the idea that you can't handle being away from her, which only boosts her confidence and diminishes her interest. In short, absence works because it makes her realize that your attention isn't guaranteed. It makes her see that you're not someone who's just sitting by the phone waiting for her to call. When done right, it flips the script, making her the one who's checking her phone, who's wondering what you're doing, and who's fighting the urge to reach out first. That's the real power of absence. Being a challenge isn't about playing hard to get or pretending you're not interested. It's about genuinely having standards and a life that doesn't revolve around her. Most guys think that the way to a woman's heart is by making things easy, always agreeing, always being available, and never causing any tension. But here's the truth. What's easy is rarely valued. Humans, by nature, crave what's just out of reach. It's the pursuit, the uncertainty, and the idea of winning something that keeps us hooked. When you present yourself as a challenge, you tap directly into this psychological trigger. Women, just like men, want to feel like they've earned someone's attention and affection. If it's given too freely, it's taken for granted. But if she feels like she has to work for it, even a little, it becomes far more rewarding. It's the same reason why people are obsessed with games and puzzles. The satisfaction comes from the challenge, not the ease. Being a challenge doesn't mean acting arrogant or dismissive. It's about showing that you have options and that you won't settle for just anyone. This comes across in the way you carry yourself, the way you communicate, and the way you react to her actions. For example, if she tries to test you by flirting with other guys or pulling back her attention, a guy who isn't a challenge would immediately react, seeking validation or trying to win her back. But a guy who is a challenge, he keeps his cool, doesn't get jealous, and maybe even pulls back a bit more himself. This kind of reaction throws her off. It makes her second-guess her own behavior and wonder if she might be losing you. an idea that can spark attraction faster than any compliment or gift. Another part of being a challenge is maintaining a bit of mystery. In the age of social media, where everyone's life is on display, mystery has become a rare commodity. Most guys lay all their cards on the table from day one, eager to show her who they are and what they want. But when you reveal too much too soon, you take away the excitement of discovery. A better approach is to share just enough to pique her interest, but hold back enough to keep her guessing. This could be as simple as not replying instantly to texts, not sharing every detail of your day, or even just hinting at plans without fully revealing them. It's not about deception, it's about keeping things interesting. The reality is, women are attracted to men who have purpose and direction, men who have things going on outside of their interest in her. When your entire schedule clears the moment she texts, it sends a clear message that you're putting her above everything else. On the other hand, if you respond with, "I'm busy today, but I can catch up tomorrow," it instantly signals that your life doesn't revolve around her. That tiny bit of resistance creates intrigue and forces her to wonder what's going on in your world. Being a challenge also involves not being afraid to walk away. One of the most powerful positions you can hold in any relationship dynamic is the willingness to leave if things aren't aligning with your standards. When she senses that you won't tolerate disrespect, flakiness, or anything less than what you know you deserve, it creates a kind of tension that's incredibly attractive. This doesn't mean you have to make threats or ultimatums. It's more about having that quiet confidence that you can and will move on if necessary. This energy is magnetic because it shows that you respect yourself first. There's also a psychological principle at play here called commitment and consistency. When someone invests time, effort, or emotion into something, they're more likely to value it. By being a challenge, you're essentially inviting her to invest more into the interaction, whether that's by making her initiate conversations, plan dates, or just think about you more often. The more she invests, the more she convinces herself that you must be worth it. This is why people who play hard to get often end up being more desirable. It's not about being distant, but about making the other person put in a bit of effort. Another aspect of being a challenge is not giving away your validation too easily. Compliments, attention, and praise are like currency in any interaction. The more freely you give them, the less valuable they become. When you hold back just a little, when you compliment her only when she truly earns it, or when you save your attention for moments that actually matter, it makes each bit of validation so much more impactful. She'll start seeking it out, doing more to get your attention and approval, because it's not something she gets by default. In essence, being a challenge is about being a man of value who doesn't lower his standards just to keep someone around. It's about making her feel like she's got something to prove, not the other way around. When she feels that tension, the subtle push and pull of wanting more but not being sure if she can have it, that's when her interest deepens. That's when she starts chasing. Uncertainty is one of the most powerful psychological tools in attraction. It taps directly into the human mind's need for closure and certainty. When someone is unsure about how you feel or what your next move might be, they can't help but think about you more. It's that lingering question. No need. Does he like me, or is he just being nice? That keeps her up at night, replaying your interactions over and over again. Mastering the art of creating uncertainty without coming off as disinterested or playing games is a skill that can make you unforgettable in her mind. The first step to using uncertainty to your advantage is learning the balance between showing interest and pulling back. Most guys fall into one of two extremes. They either smother her with attention or they go completely cold, hoping that will make her chase. The reality is, neither works for long. If you're always available, she'll get bored. If you're never available, she'll move on. The sweet spot is in the middle, showing just enough interest to let her know you're into her, but not so much that she can predict your every move. This is where things like delayed responses come into play. Now, it's not about playing games or intentionally ignoring her for hours to seem busy. It's more about genuinely living a life that doesn't revolve around her texts. If you're always replying within seconds, she'll subconsciously start to think you don't have much going on. On the flip side, if you occasionally take a bit longer to reply, not out of strategy, but because you're genuinely focused on your own life, it creates a subtle uncertainty. She'll start wondering what you're up to, why you're not instantly available, and that curiosity will keep her engaged. Another way to create uncertainty is by keeping your intentions a bit mysterious. Most guys lay everything out on the table right away: how much they like her, what they want, and where they see things going. While honesty is important, revealing too much too soon can kill the spark. Instead, focus on being present in the moment without rushing to define what you are or where things are heading. When she doesn't know exactly how you feel, she'll try to figure it out by paying more attention to what you say and do. That curiosity makes you more attractive because, in her mind, she's trying to solve the puzzle of you. Social proof is another powerful tool to introduce uncertainty. When she sees that other women are interested in you or that you're respected by your peers, it naturally makes her question where she stands. It's not about making her jealous, but rather subtly showing that you're a man of value who doesn't need to chase anyone for attention. This can be as simple as having a strong social circle or just being seen talking confidently with others. When she realizes she's not your only option, it forces her to rethink how she interacts with you. Silence can also be your ally. Most guys feel the need to fill every silence with words, to explain themselves, or to keep the conversation going at all costs. But when you're comfortable with silence, when you can let a conversation hang without rushing to fill the gap, it signals confidence. It also makes her work a bit harder to keep things going, which in turn makes her invest more. This kind of tension, where she's unsure if you're satisfied with how things are going, creates a powerful attraction. Body language plays a role too. When your words say one thing, but your body language suggests something else, like maintaining eye contact a bit longer, a subtle smirk, or standing just a little bit closer than usual, it sends mixed signals that she'll want to decode. Humans are naturally drawn to puzzles and things they can't immediately understand, and this kind of subtle inconsistency in your actions can make you seem both intriguing and desirable. The key to using uncertainty effectively is to avoid overdoing it. If she feels like you're just playing games or being manipulative, it will backfire. The goal is to create just enough tension to keep her intrigued without making her feel played. It's about maintaining that balance between interest and indifference, showing that you like her but not making her the center of your world. Lastly, understand that uncertainty isn't about withholding affection or being distant just for the sake of it. It's about being genuinely secure in yourself and your life to the point where you don't need to prove anything. When she feels like she can't quite figure you out, not because you're pretending to be mysterious, but because you genuinely have a lot going on, that's when she starts to chase. It's not about mind games. It's about living a life so full and interesting that she naturally wants to be a part of it. One of the most counterintuitive but powerful moves in attracting a woman is the art of pulling back. It's not about disappearing completely or playing hard to get for the sake of it. It's about giving her the space to realize what your absence feels like and to crave your presence. When you're constantly available, there's no room for her to miss you or wonder about you. But when you strategically pull back, especially after showing interest, it creates a vacuum that she feels the need to fill. This is the essence of letting her come to you. Pulling back works because it triggers a psychological response known as the scarcity principle. When something becomes less available, we perceive it as more valuable. By stepping back, you subconsciously communicate that your time and attention are not to be taken for granted. This is a powerful message because it subtly forces her to question where she stands with you. The uncertainty it creates can make her think about you more often, wondering why you haven't reached out and what you're up to. This mental space you occupy makes her more likely to initiate contact or escalate things when you do reconnect. However, the way you pull back matters a lot. If it feels like you're suddenly withdrawing affection out of nowhere, it can come across as emotionally manipulative. The key is to do it naturally. Start by reducing how frequently you initiate conversations or suggest meeting up. If you're usually the one who texts first every day, try holding back and seeing if she reaches out. When you do communicate, keep it light and engaging without diving too deep or staying too long in the conversation. This isn't about ignoring her, it's about not always being the one to maintain contact. Another effective way to pull back is by focusing more on your own life. Women are naturally attracted to men who have a sense of purpose beyond them. Whether it's your career, hobbies, or personal development, immersing yourself in something you're passionate about not only makes you more attractive, but also gives her the opportunity to miss you. When she sees that you're genuinely busy and fulfilled without her, it triggers a fear of loss, a feeling that if she doesn't make a move, someone else might catch your attention. This fear of loss taps into what psychologists call pre-selection. When she senses that you're a man in demand, someone who wouldn't struggle to find other options, it makes her instinctively want to secure your attention. Even subtle things like mentioning in passing that you've been catching up with old friends or hitting the gym more often can plant seeds of curiosity in her mind. It makes her wonder who else is noticing you and whether she's doing enough to keep you interested. Timing also plays a crucial role in pulling back. If you do it too soon, before she's had a chance to invest emotionally, it can just make her move on. But if you wait until she's shown some interest, even if it's subtle, pulling back can amplify that interest into something stronger. For example, if she's been replying quickly to your texts or initiating conversations herself, that's a green light. Pulling back slightly at this stage creates a tension that can make her double down on her efforts to get your attention back. Now, one of the biggest mistakes guys make is breaking the pullback too soon. The urge to check in, reply instantly, or justify why you've been distant can ruin the effect. If you're going to pull back, you need to commit to it, at least for a few days. Give her the chance to reach out first, to wonder why you've gone quiet. When she does, respond calmly and confidently, without over-explaining yourself. This shows that you're not playing games. You're simply a man who has things going on and isn't desperate for attention. When she eventually reaches out or tries to get closer, it's important to reward that behavior subtly. This doesn't mean instantly falling back into old patterns of chasing her. Instead, acknowledge her effort in a low-key way, something like, "It's good to hear from you," or making time to see her without making it seem like you've been waiting around. This balance between pulling back and rewarding her effort makes her feel like she's earning your attention, which strengthens her emotional investment. Silence can also be a powerful tool in your pullback strategy. Most guys feel the need to fill every silence, to keep the conversation going at all costs. But when you're okay with silence, whether it's taking a bit longer to reply or leaving things open-ended, it communicates confidence. Silence makes people uncomfortable because it leaves room for them to overthink. In her mind, she'll start replaying past conversations, analyzing what she said, and wondering if she did something wrong. This kind of mental tension works in your favor because it keeps you on her mind. The ultimate goal of pulling back is to shift the dynamic so she starts investing more in you. When she feels like she's the one chasing, or at least putting in equal effort, it balances the power dynamic in your favor. It's not about making her work for your attention, but rather showing that you're a man who values himself and won't settle for one-sided interest. This kind of self-respect is incredibly attractive because it signals that you won't bend over backward for just anyone. So, if you want her to chase you, don't be afraid to pull back strategically. Create that space for her to realize what life is like without your attention. Focus on your own growth, your goals, and the things that make you feel fulfilled. When she sees that you're not just sitting around waiting for her, it sparks something powerful, an urge to close the gap and get your attention back. And that's when she starts chasing you, not because you manipulated her into it, but because she sees your value and doesn't want to lose it.